Good morning, Young County, Texas. How is everyone? I want to get on here and I'm going to try to be as quick as possible and talk about the ballot that you will see in the voting booth for the primary election. Early voting starts tomorrow in Texas. And so in Young County, I'll be posting and sharing where you can go for early voting and the hours. There'll be two locations, Graham and Alney. But I want to first explain to everyone what the primary election means, and then we'll get into who you're going to see on the ballot. So primary election is for the two parties, basically, the Republican and the Democrat Party. In our county, we very rarely have a Democratic opponent. So that means that our primary election, voting for our Republican primary candidate for each position, is who will be on the ballot in November. November is general election. So because we don't get a lot of Democratic opponents in our county for local campaigns, local positions, that means that our primary election is kind of our general election for Young County because there's not another opponent showing up in November against them. Now, this is for local elected officials. However, you will see from federal down to the county on this ballot starting tomorrow. So I wanted to go over it because I think there's like 30 something positions that are open. It's very important to do the primary election in Young County because this election will dictate who wins in the general election locally. So it's very, very important to go vote. And early voting starts tomorrow, and election, I think, is Tuesday, March 3rd. Early voting lasts for 2 weeks, so there's no reason to not vote. You have plenty of time to get it done. But there are a lot of positions on the ballot, and so some people kind of get confused of what's there. And I get asked all the time of who to vote for in different positions. So I'm just going to run down the list as fast as possible of who I'm supporting for which position. I'll start out with U.S. Senate. Our U.S. Senate for Young County. I'm going to stick with Cornyn. I've spoke with Pat Fallon and some of the other senators and some of the other House representatives, and everyone is supporting Cornyn. It is going to be easier to beat the Democratic Party in the fall with electing Cornyn as our incumbent. Paxton is running against him, and I'm afraid that his Paxton skeleton's in his closet, although he was acquitted. I don't know. I think that might be hard to beat the Democratic opponent in November. So, Cornyn for U.S. Senate. When you get to the House District 25, the U.S. House District, there's not a Republican opponent, so you'll just have one person if you're voting Republican. Governor Abbott. Still mad at him at some of his decisions during COVID, but still he's a damn good governor. He's done good for Texas. I'm all about him. Just a few of his decisions I didn't agree with. Lieutenant Governor, sticking with Dan Patrick. Attorney General. Now this one's going to be a one you need to concentrate on because Attorney General is open. We don't have an incumbent because Paxton was running for the other position. So Paxton was our Attorney General. Now he's not. And so I'm going to go with Mays Middleton. Be careful with that Roy fellow. He's a rhino. So be careful with Roy. If you're going to vote for Roy, really do your due diligence. I'm not a favorite of him. Mays Middleton for Attorney General. Ag Commissioner, sticking with Sid Miller. I like Sid. I think Sid is transparent. I think Sid does a good job. Some people think Sid blows things out of proportion. I don't. So that's okay. Comptroller, I'm going to go with Hancock. He's endorsed by Farm Bureau and several police associations. So I think Hancock is going to be good for our comptroller position in Texas. Craddock was my second close opponent candidate for that position, but I ended up landing with Hancock. Farm Bureau pushed him over the top for me with their endorsement. Land Commissioner Don Buckingham. Railroad Commission, let's stick with the incumbent of James Wright. I researched the other opponents. I'm good with James Wright. HD 68 is our David Spiller from Jacksboro. He's not opposed, so you'll just see him on the Republican primary. When we start getting into Court of Criminal Appeals and Supreme Court and all of the courts, it gets to be a lot and it gets to be confusing. Keep in mind, those are very important because that's where we hold our core values, is in Court of Criminal Appeals and Supreme Courts, that's where we hold the line. Okay, we can make all the laws in the world, but that's where we hold the line. So be careful with making sure we're selecting conservative values for these positions. Court of Criminal Appeals, place 3, Brent Coffey. I did a lot of research on that. He's a Pampa boy. I like him. He's got some other mentors that have been in his life coming from the Reagan administration and the Supreme Court judge that Reagan had appointed. So I like Brent Coffey. I like his mentors. I like that he's a good old country boy from Pampa. Place 4, it's an incumbent position, Kevin Urey. Place 9, incumbent position, John Messenger. You won't see any opponents on those. Brent Coffey is going to be one of the opponents in that place 3 that you're going to want to concentrate. Everyone else is kind of already holding their positions. Supreme Court, place 1, Jimmy Blacklock. Place 2, Supreme Court, James Sullivan. You won't see opponents on that. Supreme Court, place 7 and place 8, Kyle Hawkins and Brent Busby. You will not see opponents to them on the Republican ticket. You will see Democratic opponents on them in November. 15th District Court of Appeals, 1 through 3, still no opponents. So you can just vote for those incumbents. 2nd District Court, places 2 and 7, again, vote for the incumbents. You'll only see one person on Republican ticket. Vote for the Republican. They did not have opponents on this election. All right, it's going to get us down to our local. Are you ready? I will say, man, it's very, very important to pay attention to our local elections. We have people campaigning just on one topic, one item. We need to focus on what the roles are of these positions, what the people's experience is, what solutions do they bring to the table for each of these positions, okay? Very important. Don't get tied up in the Hollywood ticket items where someone is just campaigning on one item over and over and over, especially, y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't even want to say the words. Don't get tied up in those Hollywood ticket items, guys. There's a big picture here of running the county, and it's not just the one item. So, Young County Clerk. The clerk's office has not been running very efficiently. I don't know if y'all have paid attention, but like it's closing at random times. The current clerk does not have a good rating in my book. So I'm going to go with Timmy Hall. Let me tell you about Timmy Hall. Timmy Hall has been dedicated to the operations of the county by supporting the county judge's position for years. She's organized. She's knowledgeable. She knows how the machine runs up there. So Timmy Hall is reliable, hardworking, and she's running for that Young County Clerk position. And I think we need to get that incumbent out of there and put her into position. So Young County Clerk, Timmy Hall. District Clerk, we're voting in that incumbent. There's not an opponent. Treasurer, Kyle Mullen, we're voting back him. There's not an opponent. We're going to get down to County Judge. Here we go, drum roll. I did not vote for this man 4 years ago. I voted for Pastor Joe because I wanted God in that courtroom. And I'm right. We needed God in that courtroom. I feel like the devil is really working on Young County. The devil's using fear and ignorance, and those are his sharpest tools to cause dissension between people. And I feel like we need the power of prayer more than any in the county because we have people attacking each other, people that are friends attacking each other, and we shouldn't. We should have unity. We should have peace. We should work together. We should find middle ground and resolution to these things. I am going with Wynn Graham for county judge. Now, I know a lot of people love John Charles. I love John Charles. John Charles is a great guy. We have decades and decades of problems that have mounted upon us. It is not the local officials' fault, in my opinion. Rural counties, all rural counties of Texas, have the same struggles that Young County is facing today. We have had for decades and decades state mandates down upon us without the ability to fund them. We have limitations on how much we can raise property taxes, thank goodness. We have limitations on how much we can raise sales tax revenue as a state, thank goodness. We don't want our taxes raised, but yet The county has mandates of things that they have to follow that come from policy at the state level. And that is a big portion of our problem. And we need the revenue, we need the industry growth, we need solutions to these problems. Unfortunately, the solutions that have faced us are urban encroachment and new industries coming into the rural counties because they can't afford today's mandates. They can't afford to operate in today's world. So these other solutions are coming in. I do believe when Graham, because I have sat on a board with him at the Graham Economic Development before in the past, I used to be president of the chamber and he was on that board with me. I do believe that Win Graham is the person to navigate that future for us. I know a lot of people are against some of the pilot programs and things that he has supported and put into place. I promise you,